their senior year of high school. Some of us might have been long ago, others probably a long time ago. But everyone's just saying that everyone at least went to their senior year of high school for some period of time. Now think about when you started, you're excited to be your last year of high school, and you just wanted to get done with it. You decided to go through September, October, November, December, all the way up through probably June or August, depending on when you graduated. It felt like forever, right? And there was a lot of stuff that went on during that last year of high school. So, I'm not here to talk about your senior year high school experience or my senior year high school experience, but I want everyone to be able to remember that time span that went on of 8 to 10 months. What I want to talk to you tonight is about obtaining a career in law enforcement. It's one of the most popular ones out there because everyone sees them these days. So, although the process is long and arduous, I'll be informing you about how to pursue that career if you're interested. In my speech tonight, I'll be discussing 4 things. The first is some of the statistics about law enforcement careers in California. The second is the requirements of applying. Third, how you'll be tested on everything. And fourth is how you can prepare for these. So first, let me start off with some statistics about law enforcement careers in California. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who monitors all the statistics about every career out there in the U.S., California employs the largest number of police officers and sheriff deputies out of all 50 states. This is obviously expected because we're one of the biggest states, but they employ approximately 73,550 law enforcement agencies. That's police officers and sheriff deputies alike. The average salary out of all those 78,000 people, or 73,000 people, are $78,790, which is second to New Jersey, interesting enough, one of the smaller states out there. And then 7 out of the 10 highest paying metropolitan areas in the U.S. are in California. So if you're in California and you become a police officer, you're pretty likely to work in a large area and get paid a good amount of money. So now that you know where California stands nationwide in the employment of law enforcement officials, I'd like to move on to my second point, which is the requirements of becoming a law enforcement. There are 5 main minimum requirements to become a police officer in California. The first is that you can have no felony convictions or no domestic violence misdemeanors. That means anything else that you've done in your lifespan is forgivable. It's not a big deal. The second is you must be a U.S. citizen. I know the great thing with the U.S. is the multicultural and how everyone can come here and try to start a new life. So if that does apply to you, it's not going to stop you from doing this. All you have to do is apply to be a citizen. Once you apply, you can submit your application as long as you show the proof that you have applied. Third, obviously being that we're in California, you have to be a California resident. When I first started my process with Sacramento PD, I was a Florida resident technically. So it doesn't stop you in that case, as long as that by the time you do go to the agency, if you're hired, you must have a California driver's license. So all you have to do is live somewhere, show them that you live there, and they'll give you one. You must be a minimum of 18 years old. Although that's the minimum age, almost every police agency in California requires you to be at least 20 and a half years old when you get hired. So you can start the application period at any time, but you must be at least 20 and a half years old. And you must have a high school diploma or a GED, so either one of them. All these requirements came from the California Post website, which Post is Peace Officer Standards and Trainings. They monitor and dictate all the requirements for peace officers in California. Now, the great thing about this website is that it posts the minimum requirements. So every agency in California can have different requirements as long as they meet the minimum standards of the Post. A lot of them have other higher standards. For example, I'm applying in Sacramento right now, and they require that you have at least 60 educational credits. So I'm working on that right now to do that. So now you know the minimum requirements are of the police officer. I'll move on to my third point, is what you'll be tested on. And for this order, I'll be using Sacramento PD as my basis, mainly because I've gotten the farthest in that process. I'm in it right now, and it's the closest area to where we're at. The first one is a written test. This is the time where, according to Learning Express and their guide to the peace officer test, that you have the ability to show off what you can offer to that agency. Agencies can use the official post test, which is called the Pellet B. It stands police, or it stands for a post entry level law enforcement test battery. It's about a 2.5-hour test it takes, and it just does everything from reading comprehension to being able to pull information out of something, as well as basic math skills. If you start for the Pellet B, you'll be good for any other test because agencies aren't required to use that. Next is the physical test. For Sacramento PD, you'll be required to do a 99-yard obstacle course, a 160-pound dummy drag, a 6-foot chain link fence climb, a 6-foot wooden wall climb, followed by a 500-yard run. This is all in one period of time. They let you do everything twice, and they take your best scores and compute it. After that, you also have an oral interview. They will be actually 2 members of the police department there, and they'll ask you different questions, and they want to know what you know about the police department, everything like that. According to policelink.com, which is a website that anyone who's interested in law enforcement, those that work in law enforcement, says you need to prepare for this. They ask you questions like why you want to work in the industry and tell us about yourself. They're not looking for the standard answers. They just want to see that you put some thought into this. Next is the polygraph. So you do your background, they send you to polygraph. I actually had mine on Sunday, so I'm kind of nervous about that one. They'll know if you've lied or you omitted something purposely. And if you do that, they consider violating integrity the biggest no-no as an automatic disqualifier. Not only is it an automatic disqualifier for that agency, but they'll call other agencies you apply with and also tell them that you lied on this one, and you're just hosed. After that, you also have medical examinations, psychological examinations, and a drug test. So this is all the process you have to go through. Now I'm going to test it on how you can prepare for this. According to Officer Cunningham, who is the background and investigation recruiting head, he said the best time is before you apply. From the beginning, you'll want to follow all the directions to the T. They want to know that you can follow directions, you can take orders, and they want to see that you are capable of taking instructions off reading. You want to meet all the timelines they give you. So if they say turn something in by this time, you want to have it in by that time. If you turn it in early, you're good because you won't be late. You can also purchase books and attend recruiting events. So now you know what to do to get prepared for the test. So tonight I've discussed about the different opportunities and how to prepare for a career in law enforcement. I discussed some statistics on California law enforcement, what the requirements are, what you'll be tested on, and how you can prepare for them all. So the next time you get pulled over by a police officer or someone wants to ask you a question, remember the process that it took to get the job. It takes 8 to 18 months according to the Sacramento PD website to get that job. So they've worked really hard to get there, and they've shown the dedication it takes. Thank you.